Hey, what is up, YouTube? This is Platinum Point, and I'm here to bring you guys yet again another Weiss Schwarz deck profile. So as you guys can see, I'm here with you guys with a face cam because I wanted to change things up and show you guys one thing, what I look like. Pardon the lighting on this. I'm still kind of working on kind of perfecting the lighting for this situation, but overall I do like what's being shown. I hope you guys don't forget to subscribe and check out this channel if you want to see more updates and content related to Weiss Schwarz, especially if you want to know how to be successful in this game, because this channel is here to give you that. So without further ado, I wanted to talk about today one of my favorite Weiss Schwarz decks, which is Quintessential Quintuplets. 12, is it 12? Or yeah, 12 standby. Technically 12 standby, but in reality it's just 8 standby. So the reason why I wanted to talk about this list is because, one, this deck did get an update with the movie set, as well as the ban list kind of shaking things up. So I wanted to showcase you guys what I've been kind of cooking in terms of quints, and show you guys what my thought process is moving forward with the ban list. So once again, please make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and click the notification button if you want to see more videos like this. So we're gonna start off with the level zeros. So we're playing 4 copies of the daily routine Nino Nakano, which is your basically the ironwood of the deck. Sorry. So we play 4 copies. So if you're not familiar with what this card does, so she has 2 on-play effects. The first one is you get to discard a card with Nino in its name and draw a card, and then you can discard an additional card from your hand to reveal the top part of your deck and salvage a character equal to the level of the revealed card, and climaxes will always count as 0. So this is your Rico as well, being able to just recover resources at level 0, and this helps you confirm triggers as well as filter your hand for pieces that you need to stand by out, or just to get your hand ready for next turn. So I'm playing 4 copies of her, so we'll put her right here. Next, we play 4 copies of Flowers of Gratitude Nino Nakano. So this is basically the level 0 Rudred from Mushoku Tensei. So she has a similar effect where she comes into play. You get to put a card from your hand into clock, and then search your deck for a Nino character from your deck and add it to your hand. So this allows you, this is essentially your Riki of the deck. It replaces the level 0 Ichika Riki that we used to play, because this allows you to essentially get all the Nino pieces in your deck. So one thing you're going to notice about 8 standby quints is that post movie set, you're kind of just building your deck towards the mono waifu, because of the fact that you're kind of incentivized to just play the stronger cards that help synergize with the decks are character locked. So I actually had to overhaul this deck in order to make it consistent, and it's been working lately. So we play 4 copies of that. Then we play 3 copies of the Quintessential Quintuplets Nino, which is your brainstorm of the deck. So the reason why we upped this to 3, most builds have been playing 2, but now we're upping it to 3 because this is just your main essential plussing level 0 in the deck, besides your Rico being the hand filter and the Riki to get you pieces. So this allows you to this gives you deck speed, as well as just that 500 power pump is actually still pretty viable in this metagame, since being able to reverse multiple lanes is just helpful, and just the fact that it's a salvage brainstorm to help you get the pieces that you need from your waiting room to your hand. So let me just move everything down. Okay. Next, we play 2 copies of Recreation Nino Nakano. So this is a new addition from the deck. Originally, you could play the level 0 Nino that is a pay 1, send it to waiting room, top 4 check, and add a Quint character, but this card replaces that, because now you get to mill 5 up to 5, which is really nice. and when she comes into play, you can give another Nino character the ability on attack. You can check the top 2 cards of your deck when you're doing a trigger, and you can decide to either put one to the waiting room and then put the other one back to the top of your deck and use that as your trigger. So this allows you to sculpt for triggers, as well as get undesired cards that you want to hit the waiting room just to stay in the waiting room. So this allows you to not only give you the necessary deck speed that this deck so desperately needed in the past sets, because now you get to be mill for 9 with with more efficiency, as well as just more consistency, because now you're just looking for cards with key Nino cards in order to help you win the game. Next, we play 2 copies of Operation Doppelganger Nino Nakano. So since we're doing a essentially mono Nino deck, we needed to find a climax swapper that allows me to synergize with all the cards that require just you to search only for Ninos. And this was the one from set 1 that actually I decided to default to. You could play the Ichika one, which allows you to put a card from your hand to stock and then climax swap. But since we're kind of just now moving towards a mono Nino deck, I felt like that this card is just so much better, and just make sure that you're not breaking that often or whiffing on your effects. This is the only technically non-Nino card, but it also has Nino in its name. The Force Forever S5, Ichika, Itsuki, Nino, Yotsuba, and Miku. So this, I got the order of the names mixed up, but it's essentially basically when this comes into play, if your opponent has 1 or less other characters on the board, you can send the level 0 character to the waiting room. And so this basically allows you to blink away their advantage really quickly. So like against multiple decks that like to go first, you get to basically just neg their advantage without having to actually interact with it. And it's also a discard Quint character to draw a card. So this is free hand filtering, as well as a blink, a permanent blink on your opponent's characters. Next, we play 1 copy of the Frank Words Nino Nakano. So originally we were playing 2 copies, but after testing and making modifications, I realized you have the Nino Ricky to search this out. You can salvage it out, right? You can get it off the top 5, and you can also salvage it from the waiting room with the Nino Ironwood. So after like testing, I realized you only need 1 in most cases. So this allowed me to kind of just open up spots in order to play other utility cards to help make this deck a little bit more consistent. So I decided to play 1 instead of 2, and just to explain the effect again for those who don't remember, so she has 2 effects. The first one is an on-play effect where you get to shuffle 2 Quint characters from your waiting room back into the deck, and then give another Quint character plus 1 soul. And then when you play a climax, usually you're going to be playing either this standby or this standby. And when you trigger it, you get to bounce this card to your hand, choose another character, and it gains plus 1000 and the ability on attack. You get to top 2 check, send 1 to the waiting room and put the other one back on top. So this helps you sculpt your triggers and also filter your deck out of climaxes you don't want to trigger on first or on any of your attacks, because your goal is to, if you're going to trigger a climax, you want to trigger it on the last attack, because you want to be able to make sure that you pay it out quickly, because this deck can compress really easily stock wise. So being able to just filter your triggers is just really good. And then lastly, we play 1 copy of Looking Out for Her Elder Sister Nino Nakano. So this card is here because so she essentially has her second effect is the same as this this level 0. When it comes into play, you get to discard a Quint character to draw a card. But I play her because of her first effect, which is you get to pay 1, discard a Quint character from your hand, and check the top 4 cards and add a card from among them to your hand, so you don't have to reveal. So this allows you to sculpt for climaxes that you might need if you want to launch a climax combo, or just simply build your board up. So this allows you to dig for pieces that you need without having to like reveal information to your opponent. So that's one thing I like about this card, and it's also just another filtering, because with standby you want to be able to filter cards from your hand that are standby targets that you want in the waiting room in order to play them out with standby. And this just allows you to, this Nino just simply allows you to just filter really easily, and as well as set up your graveyard for standby plays. So this is our level 0 lineup. Now we're moving on to the level 1s. Thanks to the movie set, we do get our hands on a level 1 climax combo, and that is in the form of Unchanging Feelings Nino Nakano. So this is a 1/1 that has a pretty good staying power. So this is basically our replacement of the original 1/1 that we played in set 2. So she still has the same hand-on core effect, except it gains 1500 power if all your characters are quints, and then during your turn it gains an additional 2k, so it becomes an 8/5 during your turn, and it still maintains a hand-on core cross turn. And it has the climax combo ability, which pairs with this climax, in which she basically, I just gotta reread the effect again, because the main thing I usually focus on is the second part, which is when this attacks, if the stealthy strong attack climax is in play, you can look at the top 2 cards of your deck, choose one from among them, put it back to the top of your deck, and put the other to the waiting room. So this is additional trigger filtering, but the main effect that I usually focus on with this deck is the second effect, which is it gains this card gains the ability until the end of your turn. When this battle opponents gets reversed, salvage a quint character. So this is your basically plussing combo of the deck, and since you're going to be swinging in for essentially 8/5 on offense, you're able to clear most level 1s. And since Alice is no longer a threat at level 1, you can actually run this with impunity. Originally, when Alice was around, a lot of quint players defaulted to playing this 2/2 Nino, because this was the only viable level 1 combo, because this allowed you to clear the Alice with confidence, or at least force the Alice to play a backup in order to trade the lane. But since Alice got hit to 2 in the ban list, we feel like I think it's more confident that Quints players are going to be transitioning to this plussing combo, which is really nice. This just allows you to basically regain your hand size, which is one of the weaknesses of any standby deck, is that you can bleed hand very easily and go to hands with 3, 4, and maybe even 2 cards in hand. So this allows you to kind of recover resources, as well as get other cards that you need from your waiting room into your hand in order to advance your game state next turn. So we play 4 copies of that. So we'll put it right here. So then I also play 2 copies of Great Love Nino Nakano. So she is your new supporter 1/1. So now this card has this is usually what you're going to be standbying at level 0. So she has the ability that she gives other Ninos on board the ability on attack. You can check the top 2 cards of your deck, send one to waiting room, put the rest on to top. So one thing this deck now does, thanks to the new support with Nino, is that she gives all your Nino characters stackable on attack. Check the top 2 cards of your deck, send one to waiting room, put it back to the top. So one of the cheeky plays that you can do as a way of deck filtering is having multiple of the top 2 check effects on board. You don't necessarily have to have multiples of this specific cards. You also have this Nino that gives it. The Nino Ricky also gives it when it comes into play for that turn. So by just having all those stackable top 2 check rearranges, you are able to essentially filter through your deck without having to pay stock to do so. So giving your like having characters have stackable top 2 check rearranges are just really nice, especially since the second effect, which gives plus 3k power when you trigger a standby, is all the more just juicy. So this allows you to like sculpt your triggers in order to get the standby in order to punch over a lane. So this is basically your backline supporter of the deck that you want to run in the early game just to help push for damage as well as deck filter. So I play 2 copies of that. Next, I play 1 copy of this 1/1 Nino. So originally in most Quints lists, we played the other blue 1/1 that gives that specific Nino the ability can't be reversed by cost 0s. But since a lot of decks are kind of going towards the standby route or the heavy board lanes that play like really strong boards at the early game, we needed some kind of way to counteract early play combos. And I've seen Nino lists play this even when Alice was around, just to punish the Alice plays, because what she does is she has the ability when she gets reversed, if the character that reversed it if the character's level that reversed this card is higher than your opponent's current level, you get to bottom deck it. And it also has a nice ability of being a hand-on card, so it's a sticky anti early play threat that can just constantly come back whenever you feel like you need to answer early plays and just threaten that lane every time. So it's like a cross turn threat, so your opponent would have to always side this if they're playing early plays, or kill it with a character that's basically same level as this card, same level as your current level, and just hope that your opponent just discards this in order to bleed their hand in order to keep this board threader. But most of the time you're just using this against either other standby decks or early plays that you just need to get rid of. So we play 1 of that. I also play 1 copy of the 2k backup. I know some builds are playing the Itsuki the 2k backup, but I prefer playing Nino just so I can be able to search it out with all my other Nino cards, Nino effects, and I just wanted to keep everything kind of just streamlined. So I went for this route because I just wanted to keep everything just consistent in terms of being able to get all the answers with my Nino effects. I am running 1 non-Nino card, but that's fine. I just wanted to my deck building focus with this set was to make this deck as consistent as possible, as well as to limit the amount of bricks I play in this deck. So that's it for our level 1s. We're gonna move on to our level 2s, and our level 2s are pretty spicy thanks to the movie set. So we play 1 copy of the Soft Gaze Ichika Nakano. So this one is basically your minus soul counter. So when you pay 1 to play it as a backup, you can pay an additional 1 and then sack a character from your stage to basically give the opponent character that is attacking you a -1 soul. So this helps you modulate the amount of damage you take, which is really nice. Although it's not as good as the event backup, which basically is a stackable -1 soul, so you can essentially just neg soul to 3 to not take the damage. But this is basically the close second, since this deck wants to be as consistent as possible, and since we have to basically focus on our consistency tools, we lose a lot of our defensive options. And so this is the one pseudo defensive option that the movie set gives us in replace of that event. Next, I do play another non-Nino card, but I feel like this is necessary. So this is the Coincidental Encounter Miku Nakano. So this is basically your 3k memory kick counter. So this just helps us. You need 3k counters in this deck because being able to just guarantee to clear the lane defensively is just important. And this has an additional effect of being basically the memory kick counter. So you get to knock out that character permanently from the game by just kicking it to memory. So this allows you to essentially protect yourself and open up a lane for a free attack. So we play 2 copies of one of each of this, and then we play 1 copy of the Firm Resolve Nino Nakano. So this is just your anti early play backup. She basically is pay 1, pay to play it as a backup, and then you can pay an additional 2 if you have 4 or more Quint characters. You get to basically use this effect, which is choose a character whose level is greater than your opponent's level and just send it to waiting room. So this allows you to answer early plays, because this deck, you really want to just be able to dominate the board as consistently as possible. So having an answer early play, a memory kick, is kind of key for this deck. And then now for our standby targets that we play that are level 2, I play 2 copies of the Takoyaki faction Nino Nakano. So this is essentially our big beat stick of the deck at level 2, and I'm only playing 2 because I also wanted to play another defensive standby target, since I'll explain why in a bit. But this card basically gains 5k for each of your Quint's total. For if you have 2 Quint's characters on the center stage with her, she essentially gains 2500 for each Quint character on the center stage. So she'll become an 11k on offense and defense. But you also play her because she has the second ability. When she attacks, you get to, so long as you control 2 or more other characters, which you're gonna do most of the time, you get to check the top 2 cards of your deck, send 1 to waiting room, put back on the top of your deck. So you kind of get to see where I'm saying the effects will continuously stack, is that this also allows you to filter with the 1/1, so you get to basically cut out 2 cards from your 2 to 3 cards from your deck just from 1 attack. And if you decide to stack it with this, it's about 5 cards. You get and a total 5 cards you get to get out of your deck with just simple ease. So being able to just free mill filter is just super nice, and it's 11k on offense and defense, which is really necessary. And to complement this, I play 2 copies of the trial deck Separated and Lost Nino Nakano. I know some builds are playing 2 of this as a board breaker, but my concern with this card is if this is in your waiting room at level 1 and you trigger a standby, you're almost forced to play this on either the front or the back, most likely in the back row, which cuts away all your, potentially removes a utility backliner that you want to keep for next turn. So you're forced to put it on the front row. And since this Nino only is a 12k body on offense, this is essentially just a free 7k beat stick that they can run over by just simply slamming a climax or playing a level 1 that kills level 2s, and you're forced to discard it to keep it on board. So you're easily just surrendering a lane rather than just forcing your opponent to invest into powering up that lane to kill it. And decks like Overlord, where the Shaltier level 1 can easily clear level 2 lanes really easily, I wanted to make them kind of invest resources into actually answering the lane instead of just playing climax, swinging over it, and getting a free plus. So I decided to play the trial deck Nino Tutu because she's 10k on offense and 10k on defense, so it forces your opponent to invest resources in order to answer the lane, and I'd rather do that than just have a free auto kill to level 2 beat stick that's on my turn, because I want to be able to survive both offensively and defensively, and that's one of the reasons why I cut out the 2/2 Nino from set 2, because I feel like it's just a hand-on core beat stick, and there are other more efficient ones, and this is one that's just consistent throughout the game, being a 10k beat stick. So I'd rather have a consistent 10k beat stick that has none of those like flavorful extra plus 2k on offense, just for a consistent level 2 body that forces your opponent to invest resources just to answer it, and only for them to still be a problem next turn, since it's going to come back via hand-on core. So I just wanted something that is a consistent threat, both offensively and defensively, and these 2 Ninos do the exact same thing. So that's it for the level 2s. We're gonna go on to the level 3s, the last part. So I play 1 copy of the set 2 Someone Who Will Fall For You Nino Nakano. So she is an additional supporter that allows you to, so when she's on stage, all your other characters gain plus 1500 if she's in center stage. That includes herself, so she's an 11-5 on her own, and she just pumps your lanes an additional 1500. And when you play a standby, you get to check the top 2 cards of your deck and rearrange them in any order, and then give another character the ability on attack, top 2 check, send 1 to a waiting room, put 1 back on the top of your deck. So this is just more filtering, so you're just constantly just filtering your deck for triggers and hopefully just pushing for more damage, and this allows you to do that with just relative ease. Next, we play 2 copies of the quintuplicate trails. Yeah, quintuplicate trails Nino Nakano. So this is your 2k assist for the deck. So it replaces the Ichika 2k assist, because this also is your secondary finisher of the deck. So when she comes into play, it's a heal if you play her from hand, and she's a 2k assist to all Nino. So we're playing essentially just an all Nino deck, so that's why we play this assist. You can also play, I think there's another 2k assist Nino, but this one just doubles as a secondary finisher because her third effect, which is pay 2, rest this card, you mill the bottom 3 cards of your opponent's deck, and you burn 1 for each climax revealed, which is really nice. And then we play 2 copies of the early play Nino. Her early play conditions: if your opponent has a level 3, you can play this on from your hand as a level 2, and she has the ability, if you control 2 or more other Quint characters, she gains plus 2/5 and hand encore. So she's an 11k beat stick with hand encore, which is really nice, and it's an on play heal. So we're not starving for healers in this set, because this set just gives us a bunch of healers. And then lastly, the MVP and the main finisher of the deck, 4 copies of Love Taking Off Nino. So this is just your main climax combo finisher. She gets an additional effect if you have this climax out. If you trigger her, she gets the standby trigger icon. She becomes a standby trigger, which includes not only the trigger but the effect to essentially standby. So she's treated as a standby, so that's why the deck is often called 12 standby Nino. So this allows you to early game just flood the board with ease, and this is the one climax standby trigger that you don't mind putting into stock, because you're gonna find ways to get her back to essentially full board her. So when she comes into play from hand, you get to heal, and then her climax combo, which is at the end of this card's attack, you can pay 1, discard a card. If this card's in your climax zone, you get to burn 3 basically. So this is basically built in 2 instances of damage for each card per attack. So this allows you to essentially close the game with just overwhelming damage. And since during your turn she becomes a 12/5, and with this Nino she's a 14/5. If she's in center lane with another, she's like a 16/5. So she gets really big on offense, and you basically play her because she's the quintessential finisher for Nino. So overall, I do like this deck. It's really fun to play. I am going to be showcasing games of me kind of just showing you how I would play this deck, because I do like how this deck just runs, and it's a very aggressive 8 standby deck that I really like and just really enjoy it. So I hope you guys like this deck profile and this format of videos. I will be doing this moving forward, just so you guys can kind of see my thought process, as well as seeing the evolution of this channel. So I will be showcasing another quintuplets deck, because I didn't just build Nino. I also put together, let me just get it right here so you guys can see it. I put it in this deck box, but I also built an Itsuki deck. So I will be showcasing what I did for Itsuki post ban list, because I feel like Itsuki and Nino are probably going to be the go-to builds. I know there's an Ichika build going around, and I'm not familiar with that list. And if I happen to get my friend who plays it very religiously on here, he can probably explain his thought process behind that deck. but I'm not going to guarantee any promises, because in terms of the getting that Ichika list, because one, I don't have it, and two, the people that I know that play Ichika are still kind of just like fine-tuning the deck, so they don't like to like reveal what they do with that deck. So I hope you guys like this format. I am going to be doing more videos like this in the coming days. I'm going to be trying to do 2 videos a week, so that way you guys can kind of see what I do. So the next video that I'm going to be uploading is going to be a discussion. It's either going to be a discussion on card advantage in Weiss Schwarz, or it's going to be about or it's going to be a gameplay of me piloting this deck and commentating on some of the choices that I would do when playing this deck in a competitive situation. I have yet to decide, or it could be even another deck profile. So I'm still kind of just brainstorming what would be the next video that you guys are going to see. But yeah, this is going to be what's going to be happening moving forward. I have a ton of ideas in my head that I want to showcase to you guys. So hope you guys like this new change. Don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe. Also crack that like button and notification button, and stay on point, guys. Peace out.